Today, we're going to take a guided tour through a really important book from the Mayo Clinic. It tackles one of the biggest, most urgent public health crises of our time. So let's dive right in.
The book is called Ending the Crisis, and its whole purpose is to arm every single one of us with the knowledge we need to make a difference. And it kicks things off with a fact that, honestly, is pretty tough to wrap your head around.
Just let that sink in for a second. The leading cause of death for adults under 45. That's just staggering. So how do we get here? And maybe more importantly, how do we get out? Well, the book argues that to do that, we first have to completely reframe the way we think about the problem itself.
You see, at its heart, this crisis isn't really about the drugs themselves. It's about people. It's about our families, our friends, our communities. And so the solution isn't just about fighting pills, it's about empowering people with knowledge.
And this brings up a really powerful idea. What if we've been fighting the wrong battle? Instead of this war on drugs, what if we declared a war on the myths surrounding them? What if we shifted our focus from fear to knowledge, to understanding how to use these powerful medications wisely, and how to support the people who need our help?
And you know, this whole mission is really grounded in these absolutely heartbreaking, real-life stories, like this one from Joyce, who lost her mother. Her words, "Save someone else's mother," they just stick with you. It becomes this powerful call to action that you feel on every single page. All right, so to figure out where we're going, we got to understand how we got here in the first place. The book gives a really clear-eyed look at the history and, frankly, the terrifying scale of this epidemic.
Think about that number. Over 75,000 lives lost in a single year. That's more than the entire capacity of most NFL stadiums. The human cost is just immense. And, as we're about to see, the financial cost is just as mind-boggling.
$1 trillion annually. I mean, that number is almost too big to comprehend. It covers everything from the direct healthcare costs to lost wages to the strain on the justice system. So how on earth did the problem get this big? The timeline really tells the story.
So this crisis didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It started building back in the 90s with this huge wave of misinformation about pain management. By 2011, it was an official epidemic. Then, as prescription pills got harder to get, the crisis just morphed and heroin overdoses skyrocketed. And then, the pandemic hit, which tragically undid years of hard-won progress.
Okay, so that history is absolutely vital context. But to really fight back, we have to arm ourselves with the science. We need to understand what opioids are, exactly how addiction works, and even the nature of pain itself. Because knowledge, right? That's our best weapon.
And one of the first things we need to get straight is what opioid use disorder, or OUD, actually is. The book is crystal clear on this. It is a chronic medical condition. It's a brain disorder. It is not a moral failing. And that shift in perspective is absolutely critical because it moves us away from shame and stigma and towards treatment and support.
So how does it happen? Well, addiction is a biological process that literally hijacks the brain. It starts with that pleasurable feeling, sure. But with repeated use, it physically changes the brain's chemistry, rewiring its reward circuits until it gets to a point of compulsive use that feels completely out of a person's control. So, with all that risk, how can these powerful medications ever be used safely? Well, the guide offers this really simple but effective framework, the 5 rights. Think of it like a critical checklist for both doctors and patients to make sure every prescription is thought through, from who gets it, to why they're getting it, and for exactly how long.
And that brings us to, honestly, the most hopeful part of this whole guide, the road to recovery. The message here is so important. While the road can definitely be long and difficult, help is out there and recovery is absolutely possible.
The first step on that journey is finding the right kind of help, and there are different options, from really structured 24/7 inpatient care to more flexible outpatient programs. The key takeaway is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. The best path is always the one that's tailored to the individual.
So what about for the rest of us, the friends, the family members? What's our role? Well, the guide gives us a real actionable playbook. It covers everything from learning the signs of OUD to having naloxone on hand just in case, and, crucially, it reminds us to take care of ourselves too, because supporting someone you love through this is a marathon, not a sprint.
And so we come full circle, right back to where we started with that powerful what-if question. The book wraps up by turning that question into a direct call to action, giving all of us clear guidance for what to do next in some very real-world situations.
What if you're the one who's worried? What if this all sounds a little too familiar? The message is unequivocal. Do not suffer in silence. Tell someone you trust. Talk to your doctor. Getting help is the most important step you can take, and there's a path forward.
And what if it's someone you love that you're worried about? The advice is just as direct. Know the signs. Set safe and firm boundaries for yourself and your family. And then connect them with the professional help that they need. You can be that crucial bridge to recovery.
And this is the final, powerful question we're left with. It reframes the whole crisis, not as this unstoppable, scary force, but as a challenge that we can meet. The book's ultimate message is one of incredible hope, that with knowledge, with empathy, and by working together, we can be the generation that ends this epidemic.